Hi! Welcome to this part of my solo tutorial playthrough, featuring the Golden Sky Stories role-playing game using the Solo Adventuring Toolkit. If you haven't seen the other parts of this tutorial playthrough, please check out the playlist in the description below. You may remember from last time that the Henge were doing all sorts of things in the shrine, and the fox, the owner of the shrine, Susune Hachiman, was watching them from the shadows. I start by rolling to see what Susune is going to do to approach the Henge. In the normal way that the adventure proceeds, she tries to sneak upon the Henge. So I made a roll to randomize this approach, and I obtained Sense Motive, using the Acquaintance Normal Passing By template. She is going to try and understand if there is something meaningful behind the party's actions. She spends 8 points of wonder to turn invisible. The Henge get the weird feeling someone is watching them, so each one takes a different action. Kuromu uses Feigned Innocence. I made a roll to see what Koro would do, and I obtained the result of Gather Info. She sniffs around, trying to detect the presence, while Sarah obtains Mislead as a result. She uses Wind Song to lift the leaves around into tiny tornadoes that were formed by the gust of wind that she has summoned. Kuromu will spend 3 points of feelings in the animal attribute. Koro will use 2, and I determined this by making a roll with a 6-sided die. And Sarah won't spend anything beyond the activation of the wind song because her magic is super effective. I rolled for Susune and obtained a 1. So she spends too much time observing Kuromu's typical cat antics. And that's when Koro, the dog Henge, bumps into her while sniffing. And Susune is immediately hit with one of the groups of leaves that were formed when Sarah used her magic. Because of Susune's cold, proud and strange attitude, she just stands there covered in leaves and some dirt, and she asks the Henge what they are doing at her shrine. I made a roll to see how she would react to Kuromu's way of playing around like a cat, getting attacked, so to speak, by the gust of wind, and with Koro bumping into her, I obtained the Answer OK result. This was rolled on the reaction or result table that you use when a non-player character fails a check. Now is the time for the Henge to award dreams to Susune. I think the way that Susune acted, all like very cold and almost nonchalant while she was covered in leaves, and despite Koro bumping into her and being somewhat transfixed because of Kuromu's cat behavior, I considered this to be somewhat funny and slightly cute, so I gave her a dream as Kuromu. Now, based on their personalities, Koro is sorry for bumping into Susune and gets a dream from her, while Sarah remains neutral. No dream from her. Kuromu presents herself to Susune and adds that she liked the shrine so much that she just had to leave a token of appreciation in the form of these scratch marks. I made a roll to see what Koro would do in this situation. I obtained the Answer OK, using the table when a non-player character is successful during a social interaction. Koro tells Susune her name and answers that she's just having fun. I made a roll for Sarah and I obtained the result of Leaves. Sarah, being an absent-minded bird brain, just told Susune her name and then wanders off, just like that, for no reason. As Kuromu, I gave Koro a dream for her endearing honesty, but not to Sarah because of her lack of interest. Koro, being quite naive, believes Kuromu's answer of leaving the scratch marks as tokens of appreciation and gives Kuromu a dream because of that, but not to Sarah because she doesn't get why Sarah just walks away. Sarah gives Kuromu a dream for her, let's say, delicate way of explaining her actions, but doesn't find anything interesting about Koro's response, so she gets no dream from Sarah. Next, Susune introduces herself. I rolled for her reaction and I obtained Ignores You, but pays no special attention whatsoever to any of the Henge's reasons for being there, and seems unaffected by Sarah just walking away. So as you can see, it's because of the ignores you result that she's somewhat aloof towards the henge's reactions. When it comes to awarding dreams, Susune gives one dream to Kuromu, because she likes weird things. That's part of her personality, and Kuromu leaving scratch marks as a show or as a token of appreciation is pretty weird. Susune doesn't award dreams to Koro because Susune has a cold demeanor, so simple fun doesn't interest her much. Now when it comes to Sarah, Susune actually gives her a dream because she interprets Sarah walking away as giving her space. Now we move on to creating connections. Kuromu boosts her animal attribute to obtain affection from Susune, because Susune appreciated her scratch marks. Koro boosts her child attribute to obtain protection from Susune. That is, Susune is worried Koro may end up hurting herself while having fun. Sarah boosts her henge attribute and obtains respect from Susune, since Sarah's control over the wind and aloof demeanor makes Susune think that maybe they are somewhat similar. After hearing the henge's response, I made a few rolls to decide how Susune would answer to each of them. And when I rolled for how she would react or interact with Kuromu, I obtained the result of ignores you. She decides to ignore Kuromu, and just blushes a bit. She is somewhat touched by the cat henge's token of appreciation. She also obtains the result of ignores you, and I am rolling on the failed table. That is, because she failed her invisibility test, I am using the table when a character fails that character's interaction with another player character or non-player character. She also ignores Koro, since she doesn't understand her concept of fun, and I obtained the result of questions motives for Sarah. Susune asks Sarah where she is going. While she is somewhat chasing after her, she is quite curious about Sarah. Susune boosts her child attribute to obtain Kuromu's affection. Kuromu really likes that Susune didn't get angry with her because of the scratch marks. Susune boosts her adult attribute to obtain Koro's admiration. Koro thinks Susune is probably too concerned with important thoughts instead of just having fun. Now when it comes to Sarah, Susune boosts her henge attribute to obtain respect from her. Sarah thinks it's pretty amazing that Susune is taking care of this shrine all alone. Perhaps she wields powerful magical abilities as well. And this concludes this part of the tutorial playthrough. As you can see, the results, I think they are pretty organic when it comes to the way that the characters react with each other as you make their rolls using the solo adventuring toolkit, or if you wanted to add more results, more nuances, you could use the Flex AI guidebook and obtain even more complex or perhaps intricate interactions between the player characters as they go back and forth, explaining what they are doing, who they are, and getting along throughout this adventure. Thank you for watching this part of the tutorial playthrough. Nighttime is approaching, so let's see how the henge interact with Susune when it's night. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and remember, if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.